We now shift to our nation's ongoing crisis with COVID. In the last 24 hours, 3,866 Americans have died due to the virus, many in the new American epicenter of California. Today, the LA County Health Director said that 10 people become infected every minute. But if you remember at the beginning of the pandemic, California was one of the first to shut down and flatten the curve. So where did things go wrong? Kaylee Hartung brings us this report.
This is the reality outside many hospitals in Southern California. Ambulances lined up, sometimes waiting for hours.
How long have you had to wait with patients in this parking lot today?
About 5-6 hours.
Yeah.
But yesterday I was at San Dimas Hospital, 17 hours in the back of a rig with a semi-critical patient, so it's getting pretty bad.
Since Thanksgiving, California's faced the highest surge of COVID-19 infections in the country. More than 22,000 people in the state now hospitalized with the virus. Paramedics describe scenes inside emergency rooms like a war zone. Patients packed into hallways, turning parking lots and gift shops into makeshift hospitals.
It looks like a bomb went off. Yeah. There's like people in C-collars, there's people bleeding, there's people stomach pain, there's COVID patients lined up all down the street. You know, it's bad.
That's what it means for a hospital to be overwhelmed right now.
Yeah, and all hospitals are overwhelmed. Like one hospital say, hey, we're closed. You're all closed. It's like we have to go somewhere.
In Los Angeles, the situation's so dire that ambulance crews are forced to conserve oxygen for COVID patients and not transport other patients whose survival is unlikely.
They literally had the oxygen tubing and had a connector so that two patients were using basically the same oxygen flow at the same time. So resources are really low.
Because that was your best option.
That was the only option.
Saturday was California's deadliest day of the pandemic, with 695 deaths reported. Morgues and funeral homes are running out of space to put the bodies. LA County bringing in refrigerated trucks to store them.
Last month, we doubled the number that we normally would see of families that we helped through that. And this month, it looks like we will probably do 4 to 5 times the number of services for families that were affected by COVID-19.
But 8 months ago, health professionals dubbed the Golden State the California Miracle.
March was amazing because there was no good reason to believe that California wouldn't be New York. It was a ton of international travel, big, diverse place, coastal state.
In March, Governor Gavin Newsom issued the country's first stay-at-home order.
We can make decisions to meet moments. And this is a moment we need to make tough decisions, that we direct a statewide order for people to stay at home.
The results were remarkable. We watched with horror as we saw what was unfolding in New York. And California was pretty benign and stayed that way for the first couple of months.
For the next 3 months, California's curve remained flat, with fewer than 2,000 cases reported each day.
Well, they've done a good job, California.
In California, because we've done so well in March and April, I think many people let their guard down, came to believe, we're invincible here. We've done okay. We're going to keep doing okay.
Then in June, California saw its first surge, 115,000 cases and 4,200 deaths. But the numbers were a fraction of the devastation in New York. A state with half of California's population saw more than 3 times as many cases and close to 30,000 deaths. And by July, many businesses were ordered to close again as California saw per capita confirmed infection rates outpace the nation as a whole. 6 months later, much of California is back in lockdown, but there's no sign the virus is slowing down. The surge ripping through the state, and the highly contagious new COVID variant is adding to mounting fears.
I've been surprised. I think many people who've been following this carefully have been surprised. Not that we had a surge during the winter, but that it's lasted so long and been so devastating, particularly in Southern California.
LA County's public health director breaking down in tears over the surge's growing death toll.
Over 8,000 people who were beloved members of their families are not coming back.
Among the hardest hit, Latinos. They make up nearly 40% of the state's population, but nearly half the COVID deaths.
As overall deaths have begun to increase, we see that people in the lowest resourced areas are bearing a great deal of this burden. The gaps between race and ethnicity groups have now once again dramatically widened, particularly for our Latino residents.
Now Governor Newsom is scrambling to save his state and his political career. The sporadic lockdowns and slow rollout of the vaccine, coupled with his lavish dinner at the restaurant French Laundry, have led more than 1 million people to sign a petition for a recall election. There are 9 weeks left to collect the additional 500,000 signatures that would place the measure on a ballot.
We all thought the bottleneck was going to be the supply of vaccine. It just wasn't going to roll out of the factories as quickly as we needed it to. And to now understand that there are tens of millions of doses of vaccine sitting in freezers in California and elsewhere in the country is an outrage.
As California waits for the vaccine, the pressure on healthcare workers is crushing.
It's actually deployed to Hurricane Rita and Hurricane Katrina, and this is by far the worst disaster I've ever been involved in.
Bad as the situation is right now, what does worse even look like?
Our employees are physically exhausted. Right now, we're at a tipping point. We can't add any more to this.
For ABC News Live, Kaylee Hartung, Los Angeles.
And no indication it's going to let up anytime soon. Our thanks to Kaylee.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.